Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be fixing, we're going to be practicing and fixing some vinyl slide topper or awning fabric. If you've seen in a previous video, if you haven't, check it out. We'll leave links to it down below. But we had a problem with brand new Lippert slide toppers. They were coming apart right at the piping where it goes into the track on your RV. They weren't even glued from the factory, and we're on the fourth one. So we sent it back, got another one. This is through Amazon. Send it back, got another one. Send it back, got another one. All four of them all had the same issue. We did contact Lippert. We're waiting for them. We got one response back where they mentioned, "Oh, it looks like your rig is still under warranty. Go to your service center." Da 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 da. But that one of the RVs is way out of warranty service, and we bought these slide toppers ourselves to put on. So it's nothing to do with our rig being under warranty or going to a service center. It's literally a factory mess up on Lippert's part. It's a defect that needs to be addressed on their end. So it's nothing to do with your service center. Actually, both the RVs we're dealing with are out of warranty. So we're going to repair it ourselves today while we're waiting for the long process of Lippert to get back to you and maybe eventually doing something. So in the meantime, you don't have whatever your slide topper or slide exposed or anything like that, or your awning waiting to be fixed. So we're going to show you how to fix those today. We're going to try a couple different tests. One is we're going to use the glue. We got the HH66 vinyl glue that you use for those. It's like the industrial glue. That works really well by itself because I have used that before. But we're also going to try the HH66 plus we're going to sew it along the whole piping just for added measure. I'm curious to see how it will work. And we got that outdoor thread so it holds up to the UV and everything. But we're curious to see how that works. So we're going to try that today on the small piece that we got for practice. So the first one we're going to do is we're going to on both ends, we're going to just take it apart, fold the ends in with the piping, and then we're going to glue both of them, and then we're going to sew one end of them, and then we'll let them sit for the 24 hours for a good solid cure. Then we'll come back and we'll see how good they are cured together and see which one wants to pull apart first, maybe, or which one looks more secure. It's just more for me. The glue would probably be good enough, but if I could do both and make it that much stronger, I might want to try that. But that's what we're going to do. We're going to go in here. I got the sewing machine set up for when we need that, but we're just going to glue them first and get that going. So come on with me. We'll check that out. All right, guys, here's our piece of vinyl we're going to use. This is brand new vinyl, but it will work with the, if you have some older vinyl. You don't want it to be too old where it sounds crunchy or anything, but, if it's still pliable and it's a good, awning, this is what you're going to go with. This is Lippert's actual vinyl awning, or slide topper replacement fabric. You can buy these in a roll. This is how, if you guys can see it, this is how it's supposed to be glued on there. What we showed you in that other previous video is how this totally wasn't even glued at all. It just came right up, right from the factory. As soon as we pulled it out of the tube, this lifted up. It wasn't even glued, but this is how it is supposed to be. So that's what we're going to duplicate today. We're going to glue this ourselves. And this is the end that goes in the track on the RV. You can see that. We're going to be cutting this off right here, pulling this out, and then re-putting it in with the glue. And then we're going to do the same thing on this end. Even though this is the end that usually goes in your roller tube, it would work for that end too if you wanted to. But because this one's a little smaller than that tube. But if you guys can see that. But we're going to use that anyway just because that's what we're sewing. Or we could just cut this in half. It doesn't matter. But we're going to chop this off so that way we get rid of this seam. And we're going to make our own seam. So let's do that now. I'm just going to use, I have a utility knife. I'm just going to use that with a straight edge. Let me go grab the straight edge. Just going to grab the straight edge here. I'm going to put this on here so we could just cut this as even as we can get it, because you want the edge to be as even as you can get it. Bring it right to that line there. Oh, might be time for a new blade, y'all. Time for a new blade, but that's close enough for us. Sorry to shake you guys around. Now we're going to pull our piping out, set that old piece aside. Now for this, we're going to do the same thing. See, they got like a, let's see what size their overlap is. They had 3/4 inch overlap. We're going to do at least an inch, inch and a quarter. That way we got a little more holding, and there's always enough fabric on that roll for, to give you that little bit extra. So we're going to put this in here, and we want to measure from right up against the piping, right up against here where we put that in, then we want to measure to the end. So let's do it. We're going to do 1.25 inches. Just give it that little bit. So 1.25 inches right there. That's going to be our mark, what we're going to do. So that's how it's going to look right there. And then we're going to try to mark that with a marker. So when we bring the two halves together, we can bring it back together in the same spots. We'll just join the two marker lines right there. That way you know that's where that's supposed to be. And then once we glue it here, we're going to use the HH66 vinyl cement, and we have a metal roller we're going to use to roll out, but if you got some other kind of roller, you can use that, because once we put that in there, we want to be able to roll it flat as we can. And ideally you would like to put some weight on the edge and let it sit over the 24 hours, but if your slide topper is that long, like ours is, we got one that's 12.5 feet, one that's 13.5 feet, so we're no way gonna have something that long, but we'll try to put stuff along the edge of it. Let me get my roller, show you guys. Here's my roller. It is a weighted heavy roller. What I like about this one, why I use it, is it's got a flat end here, so when you have your piping in here and it's up against there, when you roll this out, it makes a nice crease right there by your piping. So it works out perfect for us. So the first step in this process, of course, is to clean this off. And you want to watch your marker lines if you put them on beforehand. I mean, if you didn't do it beforehand and you wanted to clean it, but I just didn't want to touch it after. So I'm just going to get some alcohol here. I'm going to clean that whole section we're going to be gluing. Try to miss my markers a little bit, even though that's the outside edge. As long as you get right up to it. Make sure you get the very edges, because that's the part that would want to start first, like if it was going to lift up. So okay, we're going to let that dry right there. So this is a pretty easy process. If any of y'all have like dealt with anything with vinyl, where you're gluing it or anything, or even like a tire patch, it kind of works the same way. You're going to be applying the cement. Get this in full view. We're going to be applying the cement on this whole area, and then we're going to let it sit for 3 to 5 minutes. I let it go 5 minutes. It'll tack up on you, and that's what you want. And then you can bring the two halves together, roll it out, and let it sit 24 hours. So let's let our alcohol dry there. We're going to get our cement. Make sure you're in a well ventilated area. This stuff here is pretty strong. Just put a liberal amount on your whole thing here. I'll leave links to this stuff if you guys don't have any, or you're thinking about doing this, because it's not too bad. I mean, I got the bigger jar here, but I mean, you could probably, depend on the size of your slide topper, what size you'll need. Like this one here is, I think, what's this one, 16 ounces? That'll definitely get you a 12, 13 foot slide topper. But they do have 4-ounce jars on there. I'm not sure that'll get you a 12, 13 foot fabric, or yeah, 12, 13 foot slide topper. I'm not sure it'll get you the whole length of that with just 4 ounces. So keep that in mind when you're trying to decide what you're doing. Plus, it doesn't hurt to have a little bit of this on hand for a while. So like I said, make sure your edges are well gotten along there. There we go. That's all we're going to do. That's going to sit for 3 to 5 minutes. Then we'll come back once that tack's over, then we'll roll it together. All right, our 5 minutes is up. Just note, when you put this on here, and a few minutes in, it's going to want to curl up on you, and you don't want these two halves to touch until you're ready, because it sticks like super glue. So you want to make sure you keep track of that. I mean, if you overlap the glue onto the table, it might hold it a little, but you want to watch that. So now what we're going to do, let me see if I can get it off of there. Now what we're going to do is put our piping in here. It doesn't stick to this that fast. You can see that to this. So that don't matter as much, but we want to get our two halves to come together. And we want to line up the spots we did. See, so right there we're lining up that silver. And then this one here, we'll line up that one. And we will line up this one. So now we have those lined up on there. Now we're going to roll it out. That's what I like the back of this roller for. I mean, it puts a nice and tight right up against that piping. And you just want to roll that out, make sure it's good and flat. Make sure you're on a flat surface when you're doing this. Just to roll this out. like that. So I mean, it's pretty strong even after you first do that, but we ideally would want to place something on here. Let me see what I got. Something like a piece of pipe or something with a little weight. We're going to sit that there, and ideally that would sit for 24 hours and then cure. Here's one I did previous to show you guys. This is one I did. You could tell it is on there. There's no, I can't even lift up a corner. So it is glued really well. So that works really, really good. So now I'm going to go on to the other end and glue that other end, and then I'm going to just show you what we're going to do to sew that. We're just going to put like a little thread, maybe a double stitch or something along here, just to help hold it even more. You probably don't have to, because this glue is, this is super strong glue. I would trust this for sure. And in fact, that's probably how I'm going to do the first awning that we're going to repair. You guys will see that later in this video. I'm going to repair a whole awning, and then I'll probably just do it with glue, and that one will probably hold more than what we need. It's the same as, well, this end's the factory end. Factory end right here, the end I did. You can tell it's got a bigger overlap, but same thing. It's right to the edge. It's perfectly glued. Looks great. So I have seen the awnings that are sewn, so that's what made me want to try it. So let's get this other end glued like this, and then we'll get it through and put a bead on it or not a bead, but a seam of thread on there. And I'll show you what thread and stuff we're using. If you guys are interested in trying any of this, I'll leave links to this stuff down below for you guys. Probably affiliate links help the channel out through Amazon. Doesn't cost you an extra. So I'm going to do the same thing on this end. I'm going to cut this off and glue it. It's going to be the same thing you just saw here, so I'm not going to bore you through all of that. So I'm going to cut this off, fold. Well, I'll just pull this out right now. Then I'm going to cut this off, and then I'm going to fold it over 1 1/4 inches. That's what I like to use. And then we're going to sew this end too. So let me get this one glued up, and then I'll set the sewing machine up and show you guys what we're going to do to just run a bead along that. So. Guys, we got our sewing machine set up. We got our piping foot on here. You guys can see that. You can mess around with the settings that you guys like. This is where we're at right here. That's the one I like. I practiced a little bit beforehand. Let's get you guys in there. That little zigzag there, I kind of like that one. So that's the one we're going to use on here. I'm just using a Singer heavy duty sewing machine. I'm sure this ain't that thick where you could probably use a regular sewing machine. But I do have the outdoor thread on here. I'll leave links to this down below. And then I have it set up in here now. All we're going to do is feed that in. If you know how to sew, if you're even going to try this, you're just going to feed it like you normally sew. And then we'll hopefully get our zigzag pattern. We'll lock the stitches at the ends, and then be ready to go. So here we go. All right, guys, had a little problem there on the last one with the clip, but here's the final result after sewing it. You can see that zigzag pattern right there. We did the locking stitches at the end. They ain't the greatest because our piping foot is not really made for this size piping. So we're going to have to get a hold of Sailrite and see if we can find one bigger. But it kind of did the job anyway. It did sew it. We just have to feed it through by hand. Wish we would have got some of that on there. But here it is. We're going to let this stuff dry overnight. Our 2 halves, one glued and sewn. And then we're going to try pulling that apart. Or, just see what it's like later. We'll try to peel out a corner and see what's going to hold. All right, as you can see, this would have, the deal with this way would have little perforations in your vinyl. I don't know if it's enough to leak really that much, but you could put seam sealer on there if you want to, and go about doing it that way. But we're going to let these dry overnight. We'll give them a pull stress test tomorrow and see what that does. And then we'll commence to repairing one of the awnings that we got. Like I said, I'm probably just going to glue that one, especially since I don't have the right size piping foot. But we're probably just going to glue that one and install that. We'll show you it, us fixing it, and then we'll show you the final product once it's installed. But hey guys, we are back. It's not quite 24 hours, but we're going to test it anyway, just to see what it's doing. You can see our 2 halves. You have the half we just glued and the half we glued and sewn. So let's first, this is the test I want to do. I want to try to, that's why I left a corner here. I can't even pull that up. It's literally ripping the vinyl before the glue comes off. You can see that where it's ripping it. It's literally ripping it apart. And before the, see, it's just ripping the two pieces. So that just shows you the glue's more than enough. So this one here, you probably don't even have to do it, because you know it's going to be, the glue's going to be strong, or it's just ripping the vinyl. Yeah, I mean, that is strong. Nope, so you can do it either way you like. I think for the sake of our first one we're doing, I think I'm just going to do the glue and see how well that holds. You guys will see. You'll see us do a full length one, and then we'll show you what it looks like after we put it back up there. But this glue holds really, really well, so it's definitely a viable option to repair your vinyl. And if you got, I mean, you could even do patches with the vinyl. You don't have to just do a seam. You could, I mean, if you had a piece of this and you had a hole in your awning, you could just cut it out and then cut you out a piece and then glue that on. It'll work the same way. You know, it'll help you with the holes and stuff. So, good thing to know. Now let's go and fix this big one. Hey guys, we are out here now with one of our defective slide toppers from Lippert. This is ones we were telling you about. This is one of those that came defective where it wasn't glued together, the seams. And if you guys seen earlier in the video, we did our test to see which we like better, like just the glue. Here's one of them where it's just glued. We did. It's on there. I mean, it ain't coming apart. So for this one, and we also did the one, it's in there somewhere, one where we glued it and sewed it. But the glue's holding just fine. So that's what we're going to do to this one. One of the other ones we might do glue and sew it, but the glue's working so good, we're just going to stick with that. So that's what we're going to do to this one down here. We also, what we decided to do, when they folded it over, it only had so much of an area. We're probably going to fold it over more, so it has a little more of a grip area, because there's more than enough fabric on the roll. So we got to put our piping in there. We're going to put the cord in there. We're going to fold it over. We want to mark it so it's even all the way across the whole length of this. And then that way, when we go to fold the flap over, after we let it sit 3 to 5 minutes after we glue it, it'll be equal all the way across. So that's what we're going to do now. We're going to measure how far we're going, and then we will tape it off or mark it and then fold it over. So let's get all right down here to get ready to get started. We're going to put our cord in here. It's going to stick out of the end about 1 inch on this particular one. And normally they only had that. I could feel the sticky there a little bit. They only had like this little bit. We're going to do more like that. But one thing we came across here when we're trying to make it even is they didn't even have it even. They got this big protruding piece up here. So we're going to try to trim that by going back as far back here as this stick will take us on the edge. And then we'll trim that piece off, that weird piece there. So we're just going to hopefully trim that off, so we have something straight to start with. So there we go. We got that pretty trimmed off, so it's more level now. So now when we put this in, we're going to fold it over like so, about yay far. We just want it to have a good bite on there. And you know, this is, you know, you can't even line up your edge because this bows out right here because it failed in that particular area. So, I mean, you can't really go by that. So it's like you don't really know what to go by. Because if you get this off all the way down to that way, it's not going to ever roll up right. So we're going to do our measurements and hopefully get this right, like something like that. We'll try to get a measurement, what that's going to be from here to here, and keep that going along. And then we will mark it. Let you know once we get it where we want it, we'll kind of just put a mark there. And then we'll know to bring those 2 points together and join them up. But we're going to measure all along this, that whole way like this. Like, take our tape measure, we'll show you. Like, we're going to say, okay, from the piping to here, 1 1/4 inches. We're going to do 1 1/4 inch from the piping down, and then we'll leave a dot like that. And when we come together, we'll just join the 2 dots, halves of the dot together. We're going to do it all along this whole thing, which is about 12 feet, and measure that 1.5 inches or 1 1/4 inch fold over from the piping over. So that's what we're going to do. When we're done with that, we'll move on to the next step. All right, guys, we measured everything. We're doing 1 1/4 inch from our piping down to the edge, 1 1/4 inch. Then we marked it where the 2 halves. So when we bring it back together, we'll know where to join the 2. Then we taped it to hold it the whole length. We got all our supplies out. We got our HH66, which is the best glue for this. Alcohol, because we're going to be cleaning the surface we're going to be gluing. Of course, our paper towels and our roller. We're using this steel roller to roll it out once we do it. To having an area this long that's unoccupied is not easy for us. So we're doing it right here. We have it on this piece of wood. We'll just keep sliding the awning down as we get to the next part when we're rolling it. That way it's always on something flat when we're rolling it out. But what we're gonna do right now is we're gonna take all this tape off. We're gonna flip this way, get it all glued, let it sit 3 to 5 minutes like we did in the our test we did. 5 minutes seems to work pretty good. Let it tack up. We'll join the halves together and then we'll start rolling it out. So that's what we're gonna start doing right now. We're gonna untape it and clean it up right now. All right, we got that all untaped. We got all our marks. Now we got to clean it with alcohol. One thing you want to do is make sure you don't hit your paint marks or your marker marks with the alcohol to take it off. So just go around those like this. Just go around those so most of the surface is wiped, because you do not want to take those off because that's your whole thing to line you up. And do that all along this whole thing. Hopefully you guys can see we're running out of light here. We got the headlight from the golf cart on here. But we're going to wipe this all off along the whole rest of the way, and then we'll spread our glue out. So we got that all wiped off with alcohol. Now we got our HH66, also known as Sinus Cleaner 2000, out. We're going to put that along the whole thing from our line up to the edge, and then we're going to let that sit 3 to 5 minutes before we make contact with both sides. So remember, once you make contact, it's going to want to stick. So make sure you have it right at your line when you flip it over, and don't forget to put your cord back in. So that's what we're going to do. This stuff here comes with the brush, so it's easy just to brush on there. That's what we're going to put on all the way the whole length of this. I ain't going to bore you guys through all that, but we're going to get that on there. All right, we glued only to the end, pretty much where our board is, because if we go the whole length of this, the glue down at the other end will be too dried up for us before we can get this together. So we're going to do it in probably like a 4-foot section like this, and then we'll go on, wait 3 to 5 minutes on the next one, wait 3 to 5 minutes on the next one. So we'll have to do this like 3 times, but it's going to be the best way to get it glued correctly. So we're just sitting this, letting this sit for another 4 minutes. Then we'll bring the two halves together to the lines. We'll be set and ready to go. All right, we got this. We waited 3 to 5 minutes, 5 minutes for us. Now we're going to join our two halves together. Remember, at that mark that we did. And right like that, we're going to bring that along the whole way. Make sure your cord's up in there. Oh, our timers are going off on that. All right, we brought our two halves together to the lines. You can see they joined up right there. Now we're just using our roller to roll it out. And then we'll do our next 8 foot and continue down the line. So that's what we're going to do. I'll show you the finished product tomorrow, because we got a lot to sit for 24 hours to cure. So we're just going to continue on. All right, guys, it is the next day. We are back out here. Our awning had more than enough time to cure. It's probably been, I'd say, 18 hours by now. So, I mean, 24 would be best, they say, but 18 is more than going to do it. Our test was about the same time, and I couldn't rip it apart or anything. So we'll get you guys a closer look of how the repair turned out. For being, as you seen, it was getting dark, but for that being that, I mean, it's really nice. I can't even catch an edge, so it's holding pretty good. If we have any issues with this, which I don't think we will, maybe I'll do that other thing you've seen us do with gluing it and sewing it. But as far as what it is right now, this is going to be probably, well, we know it's better than how it came because it came defective, but then better than they do normally. So let's get you guys a closer look and show you what we got. All right, here's a close-up, guys, of, you can see where our overlap. We did 1 1/4 inch here, and then you can see how it's a nice lip. I can't even catch the lip. Our lines lined up nicely. That's why we did the little lines to try to know where to put it. If you got a little glue overshot, that's okay, because this is the underside. You're not going to really see it, but it's looking good to me. We're going to get this put on there, and then we'll show you it put up there. But I mean, if you've got a couple wrinkles like we did, we have a wrinkle down here. It happened to get wrinkled as we were folding it over. No big deal. Like, again, this is the part that matters, because this is the part that's going to slide into the track. The rest of it looks pretty good, so can't complain. We're going to get this put up, and we'll show you guys what it looks like when it's up there. All right, guys, we have it installed back on here. You can see right there, it is much better than it was. You can see where water kind of puddles there a little bit. I mean, it gets a little bit of a puddle. We're going to put a beach ball underneath to try to deter the water away from that, so it doesn't put any unnecessary weight or anything on it. But that is finally glued. It came defective glued. We have kind of an update from Lippert. We'll do that in another video, because we got another one of these to do. We'll give you the update, because we sent something back to them. We're waiting for something back, so we'll give you the update on that. But Everything's looking good. Well, there you have it, guys. A couple different methods you can use to repair your defective or damaged vinyl to make it useful again. As long as it's not too far past itself, if it sounds crunchy and stuff, it's probably too far gone. You should get some. Maybe I'll do a video on that sometime where we're replacing the fabric on a bad one, because that's a pretty easy job. Will save you a bunch of money too, and then you'll have leftover fabric in case it happens again. But as you've seen, the results were pretty good. I mean, the glue by itself was so strong, we could barely get to the thread anyway to pull it apart. So it's really strong stuff, and that's more than going to hold. You probably don't even need to bother sewing it. But I did want to see what it looked like, you know, make it that much stronger. I mean, I might still try that at some point, but I got to get a bigger piping foot. That's not big enough. But I will leave links to that stuff down below. Hope you guys found this video helpful and informative in some way, in case you want to repair yours. We'll do a follow-up video on how we made out with Lippert. It's a very slow process with them. They don't answer stuff right away. It's like a week before you even get an answer to one email, and then they give you some generic results, and you got to send back something, and it's going to take a while. We didn't want to wait that long to see what they're going to do, because it's definitely under warranty, because all these units are under 30 days old. So it's definitely a manufacturer's mess up. So we repaired it ourselves, as you've seen, and we put it on there. Looks great, works great. I'll follow some of the tips. Like I said, if you got something better that'll help somebody else while they're doing this, leave them down below to help the rest of us out. This is just me winging it, giving it a try. I know the glue works, but with the sewing and everything, it was a pretty good project anyway. So like I said, I hope you guys found this helpful and informative. If you guys haven't done so already, please click the subscribe button down below. Give us a big thumbs up. Let us know let everybody know you're liking the channel, and YouTube kick us up there. We'd like to grow a little bit faster. I know we're a little bit of everything. We're not focused on one thing, but hey, there might be something that you like. Just if you can, it don't cost you anything. And like I said, I will leave links to all the stuff we used in this video down below, in case it helps you out with the thread, the special kind of thread, the glue, all that stuff. And then they will be affiliate links most likely. Some are, some aren't, but they help the channel either way, and we appreciate that support. Until next time, guys, thanks for watching, and try something new.